This is a Louie Tee Network exclusive.
For those of you who don't know, I'm Louie Tee, host of the Louie Tee Network, and this is One Burning Question, a series that will take a look at all 32 teams in the National Football League and pose a question. Some teams will have micro questions where we look at the team in its current state and talk about what could potentially happen for them in this season. And some will take a macro approach where we kind of open up the lens a bit and take a step back and look at it from a wide view look and perspective and talk about where these franchises might be going in the future, not just this season, but moving forward. So I'll take a look at each and every single team, ask a burning question, answer that question, and move on to the next team. Thank you for joining me. Enjoy One Burning Question. Welcome to this In the Lab Room exclusive series, One Burning Question. I, of course, as always, am your host, Louie Tee. Thank you for joining me on this program. Today, we're talking about the Rodney Dangerfields of the National Football League. Of course, I'm talking about the team that can't get no respect, the undefeated 13-0 Carolina Panthers. This team and their One Burning Question is very fascinating, because it's a micro and a macro question. You're going to zoom in on the 2015 season, but then you're going to open up the lens and take a step back and look at the big picture for this franchise moving forward as well. All in one question. So let's get to it. Can the Carolina Panthers sustain the level of success they've shown in 2015? You know what? I was listening to a radio program and a wise man said something that really resonated with me. As people, we have a hard time adjusting our opinions. Even though the proof is in the pudding right in front of our face, we have a hard time changing our beliefs, even though we see that the things that we thought beforehand are wrong. Now, let me give you a couple of examples. To start the season off, I lived and died with the Baltimore Ravens because I just, in my mind, before the season started, I said the Ravens are going to find a way to win 10 games and compete in the AFC North and make the postseason because that's what the Ravens do. So in my mind, I kept picking the Ravens to start the season. Even though they were 0-1, even though they were 0-2, even though they were 0-3, they were going up against an undefeated Cincinnati Bengals team at home. And I said, there's no way the Baltimore Ravens are going to start the season 0-4. And what did they do? They started the season 0-4. And it was hard for me to fathom the fact that they weren't good. I just couldn't wrap my brain around it. Give you another example. Atlanta Falcons. Before the season started, I went on record and said this team was going to be 11-5 and win the NFC South. How wrong was I, right? But they started the season 6-0, and 5-0 and 6-1 overall. And I wasn't surprised. I said, I predicted this. And when they started this slide, I kept picking them week after week after week. And the loser streak got to 2, it got to 3, it got to 4, it got to 5. And I'm like, I'm still picking them, mind you, every single week. Because I'm like, this is the week they snap out of it. I couldn't believe what I was seeing because in my mind, I told myself this is a good football team. Even though the proof was in front of me, they're not a good football team. And the same thing can be said about the Carolina Panthers. A lot of people don't want to give this team their credit. They're 13-0. I still hear people, can you believe this? I still hear people say, Cam Newton can't throw the football. He's just a running quarterback. Have you been watching football at all this season? Have you? You must not have been. Because if you're making an idiotic statement like that, then I don't know what to say to you. I don't even want to talk to you. If that's the way you feel about Cam Newton, then obviously you already have made up your mind about what Cam Newton is as a football player, and there's no changing your mind, so I don't want to talk to you. This is a really good football team, folks. They're not 13-0 by accident. What has happened, and I'm going to tell you what has happened with this team, then we're going to answer this question, is they gain confidence over the season. And that happens. What you will find with good football teams is that they get better with confidence and time, and winning does all of that. When you win games that you didn't know for sure if you could win, they had demons. Had they lost to Seattle, in Seattle. They were down by, 9? With 7 minutes to go in that ball game. They were down 23-14 in that ball game with 7 minutes left. They lose that ball game, they're the same Panthers. Mentally, they're not where they are right now because they still would have had that hurdle that they would have had to conquer. They don't go on to beat Green Bay the next week. They're not playing with that same amount of confidence. They're not mowing down teams in the league like they're doing right now if they don't win that game against Seattle. That was a huge win for them. That win did so much for their psyche. It gave them an unbelievable confidence boost that went into the next week versus Green Bay, that continued on as they continued to beat teams, and now they're blowing teams out. They weren't blowing teams out. This team struggled with the Houston Texans early in the season, okay? They struggled with the New Orleans Saints at the crib, with Luke McCown at quarterback. They're a different team now. That's not the same team that played the Saints earlier in the season. That's not the same team that allowed Ryan Mallett to go up and down the field and almost stole that game at Bank of America Stadium. It's a different team now. They're playing with a different level of confidence and a different level of focus, and that's what winning can do for you. That's why this team is not the same team that we saw start this season off. But a lot of people can't wrap their brain around that because just a season ago, they were 3-8 and trying to find a way to get into the postseason. That's why a lot of people can't wrap their brains around this team because they said, we just saw this team a year ago at 3-8-1, struggling and just trying to scratch and claw their way into the postseason. And now they're 13-0, and it's just hard for people to put that image out of their brain and insert this new image of a team that is extremely confident and playing football at a level the likes of which we haven't seen since the Patriots ran the table back in 2007. So, can the Panthers sustain the level of success that they've shown in 2015? That's a really good question because a lot of people are saying we still haven't seen the best of Cam Newton. What happens to this offense when Kelvin Benjamin comes back? And all of a sudden now, Ted Ginn is back on the bench where he belongs and we can just put him in the game when we need a big deep ball. And I hear all of that stuff, man. And Josh Norman's going to be back. We're going to sign him up. And K'Wan Short is playing out of his mind. And I understand all of that. But it's a season-to-season league. It's a week-to-week league. And every year is a blank canvas, as you can attest to. Last year you were 7-8-1. This year you're 13-0. Every year is different. But the thing that has really started to change my mind about this Panthers team is that they believe in the talent that they have in that locker room. Although I may not believe in it. I look at their roster and I say, how in the hell are these guys 13-0? But they believe in the talent that's in that locker room. They believe that they have more than enough. And really, the centerpiece of it all is number one. Without Ace Newton, this team isn't anywhere near the level at which they're at right now. I mean, he makes that entire team go. You take him off that football team, and they've got one of the worst teams in the league. Straight up. But you put him in the middle and you put him in the mix, and all of a sudden now they believe they can beat anybody. And so, can they take what they've done in 2015 and can they be this type of team? And I'm not saying they got to go undefeated next year and the year after that, but can they be 11-5 next year? Can they be 12-4 next? Can this be who they are moving forward? Can they be the new Green Bay Packers? Can they be the new Seattle Seahawks? Can they be that team? That's what I'm asking. Can you now become that team in the NFC? The Seahawks have been that team for the last 3 years. Can you now be that team? We've seen teams come, be a flash in the pan, have a great season, and then fall the hell up off the map. Can you stay relevant for the next 4 or 5 seasons? This is a young team, okay? A lot of young players. I heard Josh Norman say, a lot of people getting upset about us celebrating stop us. We're a young team, and this is how we express ourselves. We got like 3 or 4 players on the entire roster, like 6 or 7 players on the entire roster. 13, some number like that that's really low, that are over the age of 29. Everybody else is under 29. It's a young team. They can be good for a while. So, I'm going to ask this question one last final time. Can the Carolina Panthers sustain the level of success they've shown in 2015? I would love for them to get more pressure on the quarterback, and not necessarily more pressure on the quarterback because you look at their sack numbers, you say, well, damn, they're in the top, 5-10 in the league in sacks. Outside of K'Wan Short, outside of KK, I want a dude that's putting up 11, 12 sacks. I want that guy. I don't know if Coney Ely is that dude. I need that guy. I need a J. Pep. I need a Greg Hardy. I need a Charles Johnson. I need one of them guys on this defense to make it complete. I think they're still missing that guy, because if you put one of those guys on the outside with K'Wan Sharp doing what he's doing on the interior of that defense, I don't know what the hell offenses are going to do to stop this Carolina Panthers defense. But that's a big question to ask. I think the Panthers could potentially answer a lot of questions with the upcoming playoffs and the run that they are able to make there. I want to see how they finish out the season. Can they run the table and go 16-0? That's another question you have to ask yourself. I think they can do that, but can they win it all? Because if they go 16-0 and they don't win the Super Bowl, all of that goes for naught. Gotta win it all if you're the Carolina Panthers. I'm pretty sure their fan base would take 14-2, 15-1 in a Super Bowl chip before they worry about going 16-0 and not winning it all. So we'll see what happens with this Panthers team, but can they sustain the level of success that they've gained this season and be one of those teams that each and every single year is vying for a Super Bowl championship? We shall see. That's the one burning question for the Carolina Panthers. I'm Louie Tee. See you next time.